Visit licensuraexams.com and try our samples completely free of charge.
Hi, I'm Linton.
And I'm Eric.
And welcome to today's podcast. Sherry from New York sent us a text saying that she wanted to know about what assessment instrument would be really good for determining if an individual had PTSD. So today we're covering an assessment tool that you may need to know for your licensure exam, the CAPS-5, or the Clinician Administered PTSD Scale for the DSM-5. The CAPS-5 is one of the most widely used assessments to help diagnose PTSD, so let's take a closer look.
To begin with, is this appropriate for anyone suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder?
The CAPS assessment was originally designed for use by therapists working with the military, but when they saw the usefulness and accuracy of CAPS-5, it was adopted for anyone who was suffered from kind of traumatic event, not just veterans, but survivors of natural disasters, victims of abuse, as well as many other things.
Is it available for all ages?
Good question, Ez. There's a children's version, but the CAPS-5 itself was designed to be used with older adolescents right through adulthood.
Does it matter how long after the event that the assessment is given, Linton?
There are 3 versions, 1 week, 1 month, and 1 lifetime. So it can be used at any phase of this disorder.
There are quite a few assessments for PTSD. What makes CAPS-5 so special?
Well, what really sets this assessment apart is that there's interview questions covering the presence and severity of each of the 8 criteria found in the DSM-5 TR. Criterion A is exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence. The CAPS-5 begins by assessing whether the client has experienced a qualifying traumatic event. This is crucial because PTSD, by definition, stems from exposure to trauma. Criteria B. Intrusion symptoms explores symptoms such as intrusive memories, nightmares, flashbacks, and intense psychological distress or physiological reactions which remind the individual of a traumatic event. Criterion C. Avoid. The CAPS-5 assess efforts to avoid distressing memories, thoughts, or feelings associated with the traumatic event, and avoidance of extreme reminders like people, places, or situations. Criterion D. Negative alterations in cognitions and mood, examining changes in the client's thoughts and feelings since the traumatic event. This can include persistent negative beliefs about oneself or the world, distorted blame of themselves or others, persistent negative emotional states, diminished interest in activities, feelings detached from others, and the inability to experience positive emotion. Criterion E. Alterations in arousal and reactivity. Looks for symptoms such as irritable behavior and angry outburst, reckless or self-destructive behavior, hypervigilance, exaggerated startle response, problems with concentration, and sleep disturbance. Criterion F, duration, confirms that the disturbance has lasted more than 1 month. Criterion G, functional significance. This section explores whether the symptoms caused clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of function. Criterion H, exclusion. It checks to see if the disturbance is a result of physiological effects of a substance or another medical condition. So you see, the CAPS-5 is pretty inclusive. And in addition to these criteria, it also includes questions about the onset or duration of symptoms, subjective distress, impact of symptoms on social and occupational functioning, improvement since a previous CAPS-5 was administered, overall responsibility, overall PTSD severity, and specifications for the dissociative subtype, depersonalization and derealization.
It sounds like you've got yourself a Swiss Army knife there. So, Linton, can you get an idea about the client's problem at an in-depth level by asking about each of the criteria?
That's right, Ez. Each section is scored for relevance and severity to give an accurate sense of the client's situation. All of the scores are added together to give a global score.
So, it's made to be administered in the client's language and gets down to intricate details.
Right. That means that it can be used in a wide variety of settings in your therapy practice. It's also good as a diagnostic tool, not only to identify the disorder itself, but its severity, helping you to guide treatment planning and monitoring progress. If you're into it, if you do research or in a research setting, CAPS-5 is often used in studies of PTSD treatments to measure their effectiveness. Because of its standardized format and wide use, results from many different studies can be easily compared. CAT-5 is often used in legal settings. It's considered a reliable assessment of PTSD and its severity. Well, even in disaster situations, which are guaranteed to be chaotic, the CAPS-5 can be helpful in an allocation of resources. And as I already mentioned, the CAPS-5 was developed for military personnel and is still used in assessing combat-related PTSD and can inform decisions about the fitness for duty or need for more treatment.
Okay, it sounds like the CAPS-5 has several advantages.
Well, to begin with, it's an assessment because it covers all of the diagnostic criteria, which also means that the chances of overlooking something are minimal. Also, because of the high level of detailed information collected during the interview, by the time you're done, you have a good sense of the client's level of functional impairment, a score for the severity of the disorder, and data including differentiating PTSD from other similar disorders. All of these in a reasonably flexible format that provides a standardized score with room for clinical judgment, which gives its validity in research and acceptance in legal matters.
But are there any drawbacks to the CAPS-5?
Well, the fact that it takes 45 minutes to an hour to administer means that it can be difficult to use in a chaotic setting, like the aftermath of some kind of natural disaster.
How does this affect its use?
While the administration time of 45 to 60 minutes may seem lengthy, the amount of information it gathers makes it a time-effective tool. The scoring system, which provides both a diagnostic and measurement of symptom severity, further enhances its usefulness in both therapy and research context.
So, in summary, the CAPS-5 is a go-to standard assessment tool for diagnosing and evaluating post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a structured clinical interview that aligns with the DSM-5 TR criteria for PTSD, designed for use with adults and adolescents aged 15 and above, and offers a comprehensive evaluation of PTSD symptoms, including their frequency, intensity, and impact on daily functioning.
True. The CAPS-5 is not the only assessment for PTSD, but is one that is widely used and one that everyone should be aware of, not only for your licensure test, but for the effective care of clients. Well, that does it for the CAPS-5. It looks like Ez and I've covered everything you need to know about the CAPS-5 for your exam. So send us a text if you have an assessment tool you'd like to hear on our next podcast. And remember,
It's in there.
it's in there.